The Delhi police have now arrested the taxi driver accused of raping a young woman in a radio cab. She had got it using the Uber cab service. The Delhi police has now also sent a notice to Uber, the popular app that supplies taxis to users, asking it to join its investigations by tomorrow. Now, while Uber insists it conducts rigorous checks on the cab owners and drivers it partners with, the police says the probe has exposed glaring lapses. The big question, just because you're in a fancier, posher car with GPS trackers, does it mean you're any safer than in a regular cab? A cab booked with a one-touch app that also promised efficiency and safety, now called into question after a 27-year-old woman was raped in the national capital by her cab driver as she was returning home from a party. The girl says in her statement to the police that she had dozed off in the car and woke up to find it parked in a deserted spot, the driver molesting her. He eventually dropped her close to her home but threatened to shove an iron rod inside her, a chilling reminder of the Delhi Braveheart's fate if she complained. The car that was used, a Swift Dzire, was found hours later. But it took the police more than a day to find the accused driver, 32-year-old Shiv Kumar Yadav, who was picked up in Mathura.
Had the following checks been done, perhaps the Delhi police says the unfortunate incident would not have taken place. Number one, there was no proper background check done on the driver by Uber cabs. The address provided by them to the police turned out to be false. Number two, the mobile phone also did not lead anywhere but perhaps was being circulated between three drivers who used to operate the same car. Number three, and very importantly, there was no badge number given by the Delhi Transport Department to the driver. He failed to get one. This is actually a mandatory number provided to all those drivers who are applying commercially in the Delhi region. This was also not provided. Number three, there was no GPS in the car itself. The only way in which the company could perhaps get in touch with the driver was through the GPS system, but it was only on a mobile phone app. So the driver simply switched off the phone and went untraceable.
Uber, which is seen as one of the most successful startups in recent years and has an estimated valuation of $40 billion, says it's cooperating with the police. It has countered the police version, saying it partners with registered for hire drivers who have undergone the commercial licensing process and has a GPS trace and record of all trips that occur on its platform. For now, the police have asked Uber to officially join investigations and provide information under Section 161 of CRPC. Police sources indicate a case of negligence against the cab company too. But the incident has yet again raised questions about how safe Delhi is even 2 years after December 16, 2012. With Sonal Mehrotra, Ankita Mukherjee for NDTV. Well, even after repeated invitations, no spokesperson from Uber decided to join our panel tonight. However, they have issued a statement that we're going to keep showing on the program. Remember, they've also been asked by the Delhi police to officially join investigations from tomorrow. But joining us tonight, Dr. Kiran Bedi, former IPS officer, Siddharth Pava, the CEO of Meru Cabs, another very popular radio cab service, Veena Venugopal, author and editor of Blink, and Amit Bhargav, someone who says he's a concerned citizen and prefers regular cabs to radio cabs for various reasons. We'll get his views on the show as well. But Veena, let me begin with you. As a single working professional, how do you consider radio cabs to be different from your usual black and yellow taxis? Is there the sense that, you're getting a faster, more efficient and safer deal? Because that's certainly how they've been selling themselves.
Certainly, that is a perception, and that's always on top of your mind when you decide on what kind of transportation do you want at the end of the day, especially when it is late at night and so on and so forth. But I'm a little sort of reluctant to call this an Uber rape. I mean, the rape was by a man and Uber was incidental. Yes, they should have done those checks. Yes, it should not have happened. But to blame the taxi company for what happened is, I think, taking away from the sort of sociological aspect of violence against women in this country. Having said that, yes, have I so far felt safer in a private, in a radio taxi? Yes. Have I used Uber extensively, especially in the last week? Yes. And would I always prefer, unlike Amit, to take a radio taxi over a regular taxi? So far, yes, and it is shocking.
And do you believe that this then changes that, and there are aspects of this case that perhaps busts some of the notions about radio taxis?
It does, but it does not make a non-radio taxi option any safer. So, what your correspondent was saying just now about the checks that Uber should have done, a regular rickshaw guy does not do anyway. So, what then is your option B? And you know, as a working professional, you don't have the privilege of fear. So, you have to therefore go on and use these options whether you like them or not.
Okay, Kiran Bedi, I'd like you to come in on that. There is this sense that perhaps because this is a big brand, it's a multi-billion-dollar company that seems to now be the focus of this particular case. The emphasis has shifted from the rape itself to somehow blaming the company for lapses in its security processes. Do you believe that that's a fair comment, or given the fact that Uber and other radio cab companies like it stress the fact that they are safer because there are GPS tracking devices, there are several layers of safety when people are hired. They make all these claims, but are they necessarily following through?
Apparently, Ankita, this was a preventable crime. Had they followed due diligence, I think that's where the company slipped. The company has been very popular. It's been meeting a very essential need. It's been used by friends and relatives, and it's a needed service, but it did slip up in due diligence, and it is now going to be liable for a heavy criminal and civil liability. If they're taken to the civil court, they will probably be sued for civil liability. I hope people do, the victim does that. And criminal liability for violating, because this has caused the crime. This was a preventable crime because the rules and regulations which were laid down by the Delhi police have not been followed. The driver has not been verified. He did not, the GPS systems and others, the technology was not in place to track. Now, if he switched off, who tracked him saying why, because Uber, these people are always on call. So what has caused him to switch off? Did somebody track it? So I think they have failed, and the USP has been safe transport, safe communication. The whole campaign has been safety, which is why it was becoming more and more popular with women. So they have slipped seriously in due diligence, and I don't think they can escape that liability, though this is a service which is needed, and we need an efficient service which provides safety and security.
But Kiran,
there are many other slippages. I'm at the moment only focusing on this, what the company slipped on.
Okay. And I think we do need to sort of bring in the larger questions of whether we can blame the operators alone, or also look at the laws that govern them and what allowed them to operate and function in the first place. But before we do that, I want to take this back to Siddharth Pawar now, CEO of Meru Cabs, joining us on this discussion tonight. Siddharth, if you would like to explain to us what is it about radio cabs that have really captured the public imagination. More and more people seem to opt for them. This is a rapidly growing market, so much so that we believe Uber in fact raised a great deal of funds to expand its Asia operations. So presumably this comes at a very bad time for them. But we'll take your opinions with a pinch of salt, given that you are perhaps their primary competitors here also. But were there safety rules that were not followed, as the police seems to be giving out at this point?
So Bharka, first of all, it's a very unfortunate incident, and at this sensitive time, our thoughts are with the victim and the family. Meru, being the pioneer, has always kept the passenger safety as its top priority, and over last many years, we have developed processes and technologies to ensure that the passenger safety is taken care. And I think that is the prime reason that passengers have been taking have been using radio taxis so often, because they believe that it is indeed.
What distinguishes a Meru cab from an Uber and from a regular taxi?
Absolutely. So let me tell you, we use technology very extensively, and I'll give you 3 examples of the technology that we have used. First, all our cabs are fitted with speed alarm, which are fixed GPS and not movable GPS. So it ensures the safety of the passenger. we have a facility called as trip tracker facility. Most of our women passengers use this trip tracker facility. Thousands and thousands of consumers use every day, where they can share their trip details with their trusted person so that the other person is always aware of where the trip is happening. And lastly, on our mobile app, we have a feature called as in case of emergency, ICE feature. If that button is pressed by the consumer, within 10 seconds, the alarm will go off in 2 trusted person telephones, giving exactly the location of the passenger and the speed at which the car is moving. And I think these technologies is what Meru has been able to use extensively over last many years to ensure and give the comfort to our passengers that we are indeed a very safe service.
Okay, now without making this something of one radio cab versus another, are there problems with the entire models that are being used over here? You, Amit Bhargav, say that you've had several problems, not just with Uber but with other companies as well.
No, see, one of the major problems, Ankita, is like there is Meru and there are these cab aggregators such as Uber, Ola, Taxi for sure. Now there is a difference between the two. That's a different thing, though Mr. Pahwa may not like. His product Meru Genie works on the same business model as Uber or Ola, etc. Now the problem here is one, that these cab operators say we are a software, aggregators say we are a software company. We are not the cab operator. So they do not have any license, either the taxi permit or the radio scheme 2006, etc. The real problem is, in case of Uber, is there is no contact information. Now there is no phone number, so there is no call center.
No, you're saying that there is no way that a consumer can contact Uber.
That's right. So no call center, no contact number, no email address, no postal address. All that they have on their website is a Twitter handle. Now in case of a problem, do you tweet? Then they will send
and presumably no emergency feature either that was talked about.
Exactly,
just now.
Exactly.